Genetic engineering is the deliberate modification of the characteristics of an organism by manipulating their genetic material. The way scientists do genetic engineering is by taking desirable traits from one organism and injecting it into the DNA of another. This is called gene cloning. There are two different ways that cloned genes are put into the organism that is going to be changed. The most common way is to cut out enzymes that produce the desirable traits from one organism, and then by putting that enzyme into the DNA of bacteria. The bacteria are then sent into the organism's body to reproduce and create large numbers of the new gene. The problem with sending changed bacteria into an organism is that sometimes the bacteria kills its subjects, making the whole process of trying to improve an organism counterintuitive since all it did was kill the organism. The other way is to inject desirable genes through a gene gun into an organism's genome. In the gun is a mixture of gold and DNA. The problem with this method is that scientists just shoot the mixture into the genome without knowing if it ever will actually work.
In recent years, the amount of animals being genetically modified has increased due to more advanced gene targeting technology. Scientists have been changing genes by either manipulating them or by removing them completely. Not only are animals' DNA being modified, but also cloned in order to help preserve the declining populations of certain species. One of the most well-known cloned animals is Dolly the sheep, who was cloned from a 6-year-old adult somatic cell. At age 5, Dolly developed a lung disease that is typically seen in older sheep, along with premature arthritis, which contributed to her death. Genetic engineering is also being used to create organs which can be transplanted into human beings. An example of this is a heart of a pig, which researchers have come to the conclusion that they can, in theory, replace a human heart. Typically, an ordinary pig heart would be rejected by a human recipient, but a genetically modified heart may not be.
The first genetically modified foods became available in 1994 and today has significantly grown to where about 70 to 75% of processed foods on grocery store shelves contain genetically engineered ingredients. Foods and plants are genetically modified in order to make them more favorable to human consumption by making them virus resistant, improve their nutritional profile, or by making plants bigger and in larger quantities. The problem with this is how these genetically modified foods and plants are hurting what consumes them. In recent years, the bee and butterfly populations have declined greatly due to the chemicals sprayed on plants to modify them. Their bodies are unable to handle these chemicals and alter DNA of the plants and result killing them. Rats also make up a large quantity of test subjects of genetically modified foods. Last month, a controversial French study claimed that a particular strain of genetically engineered corn causes cancer in lab rats. Not only cancer occurs, but tumors, organ failure, and diseases, raising the concerns of what effect these foods are having on humans who consume the genetically modified foods. Allergists are concerned that the crossbreeding of plants will cause allergic proteins such as peanuts or wheat to pop in unexpected places such as soy and sugar. Someone who is allergic to peanuts could eat an apple that has a trace of peanuts in DNA due to genetic engineering and potentially die because their body would have an allergic reaction, but no one would know why. Scientists are worried that the genetically modified foods can cause differences in nutritional content, organ damage, or even gene transfers in people's offspring.
My name, again?
Yeah.
Kim Reed. My profession, I'm an RN and I teach biomedical science. As far as genetic engineering, we look at a little bit of that in medical interventions class, and it's more of using it to maybe correct a problem, not to like make super people. So depends on how it's used, but they do have guidelines for it.
Do you feel genetic engineering on human embryos is ethical? Scientists at Sun University in China have already begun this.
Ooh, I don't know about that. Human embryos, like little babies? I don't think so, especially since I think there's a possibility to increase, to improve human health, but we have to be sure. Go back to it. We have to be sure we don't abuse that power.
Human genetic engineering has arguably become the most controversial topic within genetic engineering. Scientists at Sun Yat-sen University in China have already begun changing human embryos, which are unborn babies. This is unethical to many because the babies don't have a say if their DNA is going to be changed or not. The success rate is extremely low, and only the wealthy could afford the expensive process. People are already starting to take gene cloning to the extreme so that their kids have a certain eye color or are more intelligent. If one person starts to be seen as the perfect genetic makeup, people may begin to try to change all their unborn children to be what they see as perfect, which will only create a conformed population. The problem with a large portion of the world's population being the same is that if one disease or epidemic were to wipe out the people with that certain genetic makeup, a large portion of humans on Earth would be gone. If everyone were to keep their natural genetic makeup, then maybe this would be avoided since more people would be resistant to the disease. Also, the world would be a lot less interesting and unique if everyone looked the same and had the same strengths as the person standing next to them.
What do you think the future will consist of with genetic engineering?
Well,
on plants, animals, and humans.
I know there's a lot of research going on, and there are a lot of research to find genes that might reduce the occurrence of genetic diseases. Of course, there's a lot of genetic engineering on plants and how to, like GMOs, and also experiments with animals.
Okay. What do you see as the cons of human engineering?
Well, probably abuse or misuse of resources, a lot of possible cancers based on all these GMOs that people consume that we are unaware of, because it's all about what you eat, right? So in the future we might have more cancers, especially stomach cancers, so forth, and also development of resistant vegetations where that we can't like it'll danger the habitat, because there are certain plants that cannot be what should I say, the normal bugs cannot eat it because it's genetically modified, it's changed, so that might have a big effect in the future.
So a question going along with that is, what do you think the cons of GMO foods on health for humans is?
Oh, I've watched one or two documentaries, and I personally will buy organic foods because I do strongly believe that the food influences your health, and I think learning about nutrition is extremely important. My personal opinion is that yes, I think there would be definitely health outcomes, negative outcomes from GMOs.
Last question is, what do you see as the long-term effects of genetic engineering on human health? Actually, that's kind of like the first one. I'll ask you a different one. Okay. Do you feel genetic engineering on human embryos is ethical?
That is a very controversial topic. I know as for now itself, there are research on finding genetic codes for specific like cystic fibrosis. I guess if I were a carrier myself, and if I wanted to have a child, it would be nice to kind of take that gene out and have a perfect baby. But is it ethical? I don't know. I mean, are we trying to make perfect babies, and is everything supposed to be perfect and you can't make any mistake.
Right.
That is scary, right? Because humans evolve.
Through error, right?
There's also concern that once a gene is altered and placed back